Hey there, gang. Time for another grading video. Some great Golden Age comic books to look at. So if you like comics, stick around. We're going to have some fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke, and this is a grading video. We are looking at some Golden Age comic books. These are being graded for a company called DOTCOMCOMICS.com. or SELLMYCOMICBOOKS.com. But this video has got kind of a dual purpose. Well, it's got kind of a few purposes. One, it's a good way for me to work into my day grading comic books. That's what I do full time. But it's also a nice way to just sort of share some early comic books with you, give you a chance to look inside some books you might not otherwise ever get a chance to see up close and in person. And if you want to argue my grading skills, well, that is certainly acceptable as well. So you can see here, I did a cheat. I thought the thumbnail would get more interest with Wonder Woman on the cover, on the photo than TwoGun Kid. But we're going to start with TwoGun Kid. And this is a Marvel comic, or Timely as it was known at the time. Oh, I almost forgot to do the beg. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the groovy things, and now let's move on. So yeah, this is would have been known as Timely Publications at the time, but for a brief period here during the Golden Age, the books did use the Marvel comic logo, what's sometimes referred to as the Red Bullet logo, although that's not really a bullet mark in there. That's more of like an oak leaf cluster. But that comes from the publisher Martin Goodman, his magazine line. The logo was first used there and then was used on some of the comic books. So this is TwoGun Kid number 10. So the TwoGun Kid was around for quite a while. And there's aspects of this that looks kind of Kirby-ish, but I'm not sure if Kirby did this or not. I will have to look it up. What do you think? Just looking at that, would you say that's Jack Kirby art? I'm thinking it's Kirby with a heavy dose of Simon inking. Because this looks like a Kirby of the era. Some of this looks like Kirby. But the faces and the horses look a lot more Joe Simon-y. Let's look inside. We'll get to grading it in just a moment, but as I said, it's a good chance for you to look inside little comic books. Oh, a bunch of coupons for all kinds of things. Good chance for you to look inside a book you might not otherwise get a chance to see. That looks kind of Alex Tothy, maybe early Alex Toth. It is TwoGun Kid, trapped between two fires. Now on sale, Rex Hart. Scrapbook of the West. Some more. Is that TwoGun as well, or is that who is that? No, that's Kid Colt. I thought I recognized the kind of the cowhide pattern vest. And so we got TwoGun Kid front and back with Kid Colt in the middle. And I think it's TwoGun. There is an issue of the Avengers right around issue 100. I can't remember if it's just before or just after the original run of the Avengers, where they meet a bunch of Western heroes through time travel. And people forget this today when they do those retrospectives of, including everyone who was ever an Avenger. They often forget the TwoGun Kid, but the TwoGun Kid actually did join the Avengers. So there you go. All right, let's grade this up. It's a pretty good looking book. We do have here about a 1/4 to 1/2 inch spine split at the top with a little piece missing. So that is probably like a bindery tear that over time just got out of control. The spine's not too bad. We have a lot of stressing but not a ton of tears, except, you know, here at this top staple and a bit at the bottom staple. Not a lot of tearing on the edges. Stress marks along this top. A little bend here, but not bad. Back cover, we have like a paper shear here. And this looks to me like somebody set the book was laying down flat like this and somebody set their bubble gum on it and then pulled the bubble gum off and some of the paper came with it. That's kind of what that looks like to me. A little bit of discoloration here at the bottom. A little tiny stain right there. A little rip here. And you can see all of these pages are they missing or folded back? No, they're missing. Every single page here is missing. Well, no, some of them are just folded. I think they were probably all started out folded, and then over time, as the paper began to age, that fold turned into a crease that was thick enough that those little dog ears just fell right off. So that's going to hurt us on the grade. And also, this spine split is, I think, a little more than the spine split. That's actually we've got a tear right here. So that's really about an inch long. A little puncture wound right there. Hopefully, I don't think that's like the last batch of books we graded here together where somebody shot a hole through all of the books. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to give that a 3.5. You know, it's generally presentable and nice and clean right through the middle. The edges aren't that bad. Our big defects are that kind of 1-inch top spine split / rip. We got some little bit of tearing here in the edge. And the fact that a lot of those corners are missing. And this paper shear. So I'm going to go with a 3.5 on that. 3.5. Which is a very good minus. So you tell me in the comments below, what would you do? Would you call that a 3.5? Would you have gone down to a 3? What is your assessment? This is a fairly obscure book, Western Bandit Trails. It has some, I'm going to call it moisture damage. I'm not going to go quite to water damage. And I don't really see a lot of water staining, but we do also have this ink bleed here, which is a function of it being close to moisture, and whatever was on the other side kind of bled. I think her dress was probably supposed to be white. And that's obviously white. Interesting though, see, Matt Baker, and Matt Baker is a highly regarded artist. So some people are definitely going to want this just because of the Matt Baker art. But you can see here the paper's kind of wrinkled. And the paper's actually, it's not very supple. It's become kind of thick and cardboardy. And we've got some kind of molding here on the inside. Can you see all of that? Right in through there. So that's not good. So this is number 2, 1949. This is a St. John publishing book. Centerfold is detached. We got rust on those inside staples. And I want to be careful about opening this book too much, because this spine, again, where the paper's kind of turned to cardboard a little bit, or kind of a cardboard-like consistency, I bet you that's pretty brittle. And I don't want this cover to come off in my hands. Lots of mold on the back. Look at that. That's too bad. I'm just going to off camera here so that I don't have to open it too much. I'm going to count the pages. So it looks complete for a 36-page book. It just feels thin. And I think that's because the pages got wet and they're kind of flat. So I think this book I'm going to give a, I'm going to give that a 1.8, a good minus. Actually, no, because of the mold, I'm going to go down to a 1. So 1.0, so that's a fair. That is a fair book. Now we're going to do Wonder Woman, some DC books. And this spine's pretty ragged, so this is another one I want to be careful with how much I open it. And see, unlike our last book, these edges are pretty ragged. This one's been kicked around a bit. We got a bit of a spine roll here as well. Kind of a gouge taken out. I want to see the degree to which that cover is attached or not. And it is, cover's detached from the bottom staple, still hanging on at the top. So the thing with these Wonder Woman books of this era is you just kind of guess how many pages or panels are you going to go before somebody gets tied up. And there you go, not many. I wonder who this cat guy is. The Coming of the Kangas. Does this dude have a name? So this is a story of when Wonder Woman was a wee baby. So this is an early Wonder Tot episode. I don't know if you know, but back during the 60s, the big thing was you had Wonder Girl and Wonder Tot. And then through the magic of Amazonian science, you'd have these time travel-like stories where Wonder Woman would team up with herself as a teen and as a baby. But it wasn't always clear in the stories that that's what was happening. So you might honestly think, as an editor did when they went to create the Teen Titans, that Wonder Girl was an entirely separate character. So I wanted to see if that guy had a name of some kind, but I'm not seeing it. But anyway, there's the circulation statement, which didn't actually give any circulation numbers at this time. Ton o' Fun is the name of that comic strip. Here's some more people getting tied up. Yeah. Love tying up them women. And Etta Candy was not just chubs, but she was like a midget chub. DC has well, I guess there's no guarantee it's going to come out. It was in the round robin thing that the voting is currently ongoing for these proposed title pitches, and one of them was like a body positive Etta Candy book. And my assertion is that all of these pitches have been paid for and will appear somewhere, likely as backup stories. You know, it's just a matter of which one might get its own book. But I'm sure before they, announced them, DC had to pay for the pitches. Siege of the Savage War Maidens. And that H, by the way, oh boy, that cover's just barely hanging on. Look at that. That H is, I think it's Hillsdale College? No, what is the name of the college that all of these girls go to? I'll have to look it up and find out. So I think that book we're going to give a 1.8. A 1.8. That's a good minus. And that's because of the cover detachment just barely hanging on and this kind of blustery edge. And I can't remember, was our centerfold attached or not? I got to gabbing so much I can't remember if I even looked. Yep, it's still there. All right. There you go. There's an early Wonder Woman for you. What was that again? That was number 23. Here is Wonder Woman number 39. This one is in nominally better shape, although it's got a big old chunk here in the back. Look at that. So is this one detached as well? Gotta be careful opening it up because you got a lot of little rips here along the edge. Inside cover's pretty brown. Cover is attached, but you've got these big long tears at the cover. Not going to take much for it to become unattached. It's a big old piece out. And here's some Wonder Woman. All the girls at college still. I still want to say Hills. Oh, Holiday. It's Holiday College. They are Holiday girls. I kept saying Hillsdale. I think that's an actual college. It's an ad for Superboy. Fur facts. Everything you ever wanted to know about fur. Like, don't wear it. You can if you want to. I'm not going to get mad at you. I mean, you probably shouldn't kill things just to make a coat out of them, but if you're using it for other things, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to be real political. Look what's here, Bob Hope. Is that advertising the first big issue? So that's an ad for the first issue of Bob Hope. Wow. Boom, boom, boom. Which Kodak camera for Christmas? Does Kodak even still make cameras? Or I don't think they do. Or camera paper? Or anything. Is Kodak even still in business? Huh. Well, it's pretty browned up on the inside. The cover's just barely hanging on, and that piece there. But I think because the cover is attached, I'm going to go with a 2 on that. Maybe. We do have a spine split here, about a 1/2 inch spine split. I think I'm going to go with a 2.0 on that. All right, Uncle Sam. This is actually the last issue of Uncle Sam. Sam would continue to star for a little while in National Comics. This is a Quality Comics, a company that was later more or less purchased by DC. They continued 4 titles and later revived some of the characters, although there is some question about whether those characters actually fell into the public domain, like Phantom Lady and Black Condor. So the versions that DC has published most recently of those characters are new characters using the same names. So they've got a claim on the name, but not the original characters, is how I understand it. Uncle Sam, of course, was something you really couldn't have copyrighted anyway. He's in the public domain. But you actually got a Quality Comics logo here, which is kind of a rarity. But after this, with issue 9, this would become Blackhawk. And Blackhawk was a long-running title. 4 fast-moving, spine-tingling, hair-raising, action-packed stories. Oh my God! I'm so overwhelmed. And Buddy, Buddy was Uncle Sam's little sidekick. Boy, oh boy, what muscle, what build, what speed. So we got a kind of what looks like a water stain here and a little piece out. This looks like a wartime book with just one staple because of the metal rationing. And I'm looking at, what is the, and you can see that big rip there. Can you see that? So that staple is just kind of barely attached. Those rips, those parallel rips there connect. That's coming apart. So I'm looking to see if they knew this was going to be the last issue or not, from the next issue blurbs at the end of the stories. And this says watch for Uncle Sam every month in National Comics. So it's not inviting you to come back for the next issue. There's Uncle Sam. Art Seymour, art by Art. and follow the adventures of Uncle Sam and Buddy each month in National Comics. So I think they knew. I think the writing was maybe on the wall. More Uncle Sam. Death for the Daredevil Squadron. Your obligatory text feature, which you had to have 2 pages of text in every comic back then. This isn't Uncle Sam. What is this? We got some Whoopee. Whoopee. This looks like another Little Abner ripoff. And that is detached. So centerfold detached. The next one's okay, but pretty ripped up there. Be sure to follow Sam in National Comics. So looks like they knew. They knew the writing was on the wall. Sam is not going to keep his own book. And that may be, well, this is autumn 43, so the war is still on. You'd have thought they would have, Svengali. You'd have thought that they would have continued the book. Who is Sam fighting here? Who's that bad guy with the skull on his chest? Well, I just want to, first I'm curious. I want to look at the back here. Blackout is his name. Blackout, that's a good villain name. And National Comics, so they knew. They knew. There's old Blackout. Never saw Blackout come back in any Freedom Fighter comics. So, centerfold is detached. That's not so good. We got some staining here. We got a little 1/2-inch piece out in the mid-spine. So I think this is another one that I'm going to go. Actually, I'm going to go to a 2.5 on this. Although that piece is just barely hanging on there, and that's actually out on the first page as well. I bet you in handling, when this goes to the person who scans it, does the listing, puts it in the bag, and then the shipping, I wouldn't be surprised, but this little piece comes off because it's just barely hanging on. All right, I'll give it a 2. I was going to go to 2.5, but I think I'm going to go to 2. It is a nice cover, though. And so the rest of these books are going to be all Walt Disney's comics and stories. And I hesitate to say that because although I love these books, I don't know if it's just current YouTube ire against all things Disney, but whenever I do a grading video with Disney comics, they just don't get many hits at all. Did I even hit record? Yes, I did. Okay. I so suck at this.